Now in this video, we're going to take a look at how we can have our iPhone automatically save passwords that we create for our website or for an app, as well as find those passwords. We can do this through the Passwords app, which was introduced with iOS 18. So if you have an older version of iOS, you haven't updated to iOS 18 yet, you're not going to have this Passwords app. But I'll show you where you can find it in the Settings app. Now, if you find this video helpful, stick around to the end. I'll tell you a little bit more about myself and how you can help support my efforts in creating these videos. All right, with that out of the way, let's take a look at autofill and passwords on the iPhone. Let's go over to my iPhone. So as I mentioned in the introduction, I am using iOS 18, which means I do have a Passwords app. If you are using an older version of iOS, such as iOS 17, you can still see all of your passwords. What you have to do is go into the Settings app, and then you'll scroll up until you find passwords. Of course, I'm not going to have it in here, but somewhere in this list here is going to be passwords. So you can still look up all of your passwords. It still works basically the same way. But if you have iOS 18, they separated that out and placed it into a separate app. And they actually added more features to that app than what you had with iOS 17. All right, so that's the difference between iOS 18 and earlier versions. Now let's just see how this all works. First thing you want to do is you want to make sure that autofill is turned on. So where do you do that? Well, we go into our Settings app. So I tap on Settings, and then what we need to do is we need to go to General. Under General, you're going to see the option, when I swipe up here, for autofill and passwords. This is where we need to go. We need to make sure that it is turned on. So I'm going to tap on this, and I'm going to make sure that this is turned on. So now what it'll do is it will automatically fill any passwords when you go to a website that requires one. Now the next thing we need to do is we need to set where we want to autofill from, and this could change depending on what you have on your phone. If it's a newer phone and you don't have much on it, it's basically going to be from the Passwords app. So where's it going to autofill from? In my case here, it's going to autofill from the passwords. That's where I'm saving all my passwords. But if you do save your passwords in other apps that you have installed, you can also set it to do that. But since we're talking about passwords in the Passwords app, I'm just going to leave it at passwords. That's all I'm going to use because I don't really need it for those other apps. So now I have it set to install from passwords. The next thing that we can do is we can set it to delete our verification codes after they're used. So those verification codes that we have to enter, let's say we go over to Verizon, I have to enter in a verification code. Well, once I receive that via text or via mail and I enter it in, what this will do is this will automatically delete it. So it's no longer in my messages or no longer in my mail. So I would recommend leaving that on. And then our last one here is, where do we want to set up codes? So these are authentication codes. When you go into Google, sometimes you'll need an authentication code, or you go into Stripe, you'll need an authentication code. Where do you want to save that? Prior to iOS 18, you had to use a separate authenticator app. In most cases, people use the Google Authenticator app, which is fine. But now what we're able to do is set these codes up in the Passwords app as well. So I specifically only use the Passwords app. So this is how I have it set up on my personal device. I have it to autofill. I also have it to request from the Passwords app, and I have it set to delete after use any verification codes. And then I also have it to set up my authentication codes in the Passwords app because I am using iOS 18 or later. So that's how I have it set up. So now let's just see how this all works. So I'm going to go to a website and I'm going to log in. So I'm just going to go to Dan's Tutorial. So I go to Safari here. And let's go to one of my favorite sites. So I type in here Dan's Tutorials, and you're going to see it up here at the top. So I tap on it to open it up. So now I'm at my site. I want to log in. All I have to do is just go to the little hamburger icon. That's what that's called when it's on an iPhone. And we go over here to log in. When I tap on log in, what it's going to do is it's going to want to fill my password from the Passwords app. So that's basically all we have to do. It knows that there's a password for this particular website. So then all I have to do is just tap on Fill Password, and it'll fill it in with that particular password, Dan Wasink. Now, if you have a couple of accounts for a website or for an app, maybe this isn't the right account, this Dan Wasink here. Maybe I want to sign in under another name. Well, then what I can do is I can tap on the little key here. And what this will do is this will show me all of the passwords for my site. So you can see I have a lot of passwords here for my site. That's because I create demo accounts and I just want to see how it works. So if I wanted to use any one of these accounts here, all I have to do is just tap on it and it'll log in with that username and password. You can also search. Maybe you don't see it here. You can search up here for a particular username and password. So let's go with demo here. I'm going to log in with demo here. I tap on it and it's going to fill this information with that demo information. Tap on login and now it's going to log in under that account. So that's how the autofill works. Same thing with autosave. I'm going to sign out here and let's say I want to create a new account. So I just go back up here and I go to sign up and we're going to go down to the bottom here. Let's just go with this one here. When I start putting in my information in here, I'm just going to go with Dan and then we go with Wasink. We can see that it's pulling up that information. danwasink@mac.com. And then down here, it says save and fill. So what it'll do is it'll save this username and password, and it's going to save it into the Passwords app. So that's how we can save passwords. And we can do this with both apps and with websites. Most apps and most websites work with autofill. All right, now let's take a closer look at that Passwords app. So I'm going to go to Passwords. Again, if you're using an older version of iOS, you'll have to go into the Settings app and then search for Passwords. So I tap on Passwords here, and now I'm looking at my passwords. So from here, I'm able to search for a specific password. Maybe I want to look up the password or the username. I can also view all of my passwords in here. So if you're looking for a specific one, you can tap on this, and then it'll show them in alphabetical order, and I'm also able to search them. Let's go back. I can view also all my Wi-Fi networks, usernames and passwords for any Wi-Fi networks that I've created or that I've joined, not necessarily created, but joined. And I can see all of the passwords I've deleted within the last 30 days. And then we have security. With security, what we're able to do is see which passwords are compromised, and then we can change them. Now I'm going to clarify this a little bit. So let's go ahead and tap on security. I need to clarify something here. I'm going to search for a password. I have demo in here, which is just a demo password, so you can't see what it is or it really doesn't matter. It's a made-up password. So I have here a compromised password. It says it should be changed immediately for demo.com. So what I need to do is I need to change the password. When I tap on this, what it's going to do is it's going to go over to demo.com, and then I can change that password. Once I change the password on demo.com, then it'll change it in the Passwords app. So basically, this will take me out of the Passwords app. It'll go over to demo, and then once I change that password, it's going to be reflected in here. So we're not changing the password from within the Passwords app. We're actually going outside of it, changing it, and then coming back. So I need to be clear on that. If you change the password within the Passwords app, and you can do that, it will not be changed at the website. All you are doing is changing it within the Passwords app. So you need to be taken out in order to do that. So if you need to change a password, tap on Change Password here. Also, what you can do, I'm going to go back here, and we're going to go to All, and let's search for Demo again. And there it is. So I tap on it. Now from here, what I'm able to do is edit it, and I can change that password. But again, if I change it right down here, it is not going to change it on the website. So how can we change it on the website from here? Well, what we do is we tap on Change Password. When we tap on Change Password, that will take me out. I change the password, and then it'll save it back in the Passwords app. So when you change a password within the Passwords app, I just physically change this, it will not change it at the website. So we really don't want to do that. You want to tap on Change Password here so it takes you to that path. So that's how we can change our passwords. Last thing I want to show you is we can also create shared groups. So I'm going to go back here. I'm looking at all of my different categories here, and you're going to see I have a shared group here. What is a shared group? Well, let's say you have a password that you share with your spouse or some family member or a friend or a coworker. Well, what you can do is you can create a shared group and share that group with them, that password group, and they'll be able to see those passwords and even change them. So I would tap on New Shared Group. I invite who I want, or I name what I want the group to be. It could be work, it could be family, it could be for a website, and then I go and add the people that I want to invite. Once they accept that invitation on their iPhone, their Mac, their iPad, what they're going to be able to do is view any passwords that are in that group. So that's how you can share them. How do we move a password into a group? Well, let's go back over to my passwords here, and let's go with AARP. You're going to see that it is not shared in any group. To share it within a group, I just tap on this and I select the group that I want, and I can create a new group from here as well. So let's say I wanted to have Beth access this. What I would do is I would create a new group. I would call it Shared with Beth, and then once I send the invitation and she accepts it, she's going to be able to access this username and password from her Apple devices. So that's how you can share your passwords as well. So if you have any passwords that you want to share, just go and create a group and then invite the people that you want to share them with to that group. And then you just find the passwords you want to include in that group, place them in that group, and anyone else in that group is going to be able to access those usernames and passwords. So that's how we use autofill and passwords on the iPhone. We first want to make sure that autofill is turned on. This is under General in the Settings app, under Autofill. We just want to make sure that that is turned on. When that is turned on, it's automatically going to save any passwords you create for a website and most apps. And then when you go back to that website, you're going to be able to select your usernames and passwords from there. It's going to automatically fill them. So it's going to auto-save and auto-fill. And then, of course, if you want to view your passwords, you can do that through the Passwords app, new in iOS 18. You can view your passkeys, you can view your security risks, you can change passwords, and then you can also create shared groups. So that is how we use autofill and autosave for passwords, as well as manage our passwords on the iPhone. Now, if you found this video helpful, what you may want to do is like the video. You can share it with your friends and family. You can subscribe to my channel. In addition to that, you may want to check out danstutorials.com. Not only do I have more videos, but I also have an AI assistant modeled after an Apple genius, and I host classes and webinars on a regular basis. So how can you help support my efforts? Well, it is a membership-based site. When you become a member, I take out all of the ads from the video, so you're not going to see any of those pesky ads. You have access to that AI assistant, which is modeled after an Apple genius, and you have access to my classes and webinars. On top of that, you're also helping support a small business. It is just me. I'm not part of some large organization. So when you become a member, you are directly supporting my efforts in creating these videos. Check out danstutorials.com for more information, and thanks for watching.